Good day, everybody. Thanks for listening to Blue Collar Hockey Talk. Got Scott Feeney here, Wes Atkinson with me. We're going to talk a bunch of hockey talk. Of course, Blue Collar Hockey Talk. We got Freddy Andersen's out with an injury. When should he come back kind of thing? We got trade season coming up I don't know. We got a whole bunch of stuff. We got Dubas doing a little bit of big game fish hunting. We've got games to review. Wes, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man, and it's so nice to have the Leafs winning again. It just makes the mood in this city so much better, man. Like when they were on that skid, it just feels bitter. Like the newspaper covers are awful. The Toronto Sun, my God, man, like they will just rip the Leafs when they're on a bad streak. But on the flip side, they'll put some interesting covers on when they're doing well. It was so nice to see them win though last night, eh?
Big time, man. Big time. And for anybody that's out there trying to read the forums and participate in forums in Leafland and Leaf Nation and talk and stuff, guess what? This show is where you got to come because we're not trashing anybody. We're first place. Things are great. We're going to talk straight talk. We're going to talk things that matter and not make up garbage. You're not going to hear talk like, oh, Muzzin had the worst game of his career. Get lost. Guys aren't going to be great every single night. We won the game 4-3. Go Leafs, go, buddy.
Exactly, man. Like we're just gonna talk about what we see, and we're gonna judge them based on the current games and the streaks that those guys are on. But we're not here to trash guys, man. They're only human. We've talked about this before. The Leafs are gonna be blown out every now and then. Doesn't matter. It's just gonna happen. It's sports.
If you want to go rip on a team, find a team that's not sitting in first place. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's called critiquing. You're literally being a critical person. And I don't know about you. I'm not a very critical person, but I can think outside the box. I can do critical thinking without being a jerk about it and still appreciating the good things that are going on. Like Campbell, 6-0 now, bud. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I should stay on focus. Why don't we talk a little bit about let's talk about the Freddy Andersen injury first, if we could here, bud.
Man, you could tell he was lingering for a little bit, that there was something wrong. They should keep him out as long as possible. Because I've said it before, all we care about is the playoffs. If they come in fourth in the division, I don't care. They need to get in the playoffs and they need to make a run. And if it takes Freddy that long to get healthy and do well, take your time.
So, Wes, this makes me pose a question just on how you're wording everything there. So you still think this is Freddy's net?
I do. I 100% do, man. They're going to give him a shot. And don't get me wrong. Like if it goes into the playoffs and say he has a stinker the first game and then the second game as well, then yeah, they're going to change it up.
You know what? I agree with you. And for a while there, I was saying that you're going to see Campbell just take over the net. I do think that he's going to take the net over, but only so that we can give Andersen as much time as possible. Like you're saying, get healthy. Because what we need to see is a two-goalie tandem. We don't need any trashing of either goalie. I want both healthy. I want both playing well. I want one to step up when the other one needs you to, and vice versa. I think you're right. This is now, it's not so much a stronghold as it always has been. It's Andersen's crease. I think that he's got company in that crease now, but I think he has company that he can trust and rely on and have healthy competition with. I feel like what we're looking at is a 1A, 1B, same thing as Lanner and Fleury last year. I feel like Andersen's going to get the start, just like Fleury did. But then when he faltered, Lanner got in the net, just like Campbell will. If that happens. So the way I see it, Andersen's going to start the playoffs, no matter what happens over the next 20 days or 20 games, doesn't matter. Andersen's starting game one of the playoffs. He's going to get tune-up games before that, but the leash is real short. And it's either going to play out one of two ways. Andersen's either going to shine and keep being the goalie through the playoffs, which means great things for Leaf Nation. Or if he falters, that means Campbell gets in the net and he needs to shine. And if neither of those two things happen, well, then we all know what happens.
That's it.
Anyways, 1A, 1B, we got it. Let's go.
Yep, exactly, man. And like it's just too bad that he was just struggling and there was no one else to put in net for him. And it just, playing with an injury has got to be awful as a goalie because you're stretching yourself out. You're not as good as you can be, but with Campbell back, let's hope he can run with it for a little while. He's looked great, man. 6-0. Last night's game against Edmonton, he let in some softies, but then he locked it down. So nothing to complain about him.
Maybe we can move on a little bit on this. We got the trade season coming up. Let's talk about this, and then we'll move into West Coast Tim's thoughts, if that's okay with you there, Wes.
Yeah.
Because they kind of tie together, I think. So the trade season's heating up. March 26th, the Montreal Canadiens acquired Eric Staal from the Buffalo Sabres for a third and a fifth round pick in the upcoming draft. To make the trade work cap-wise, Buffalo will be retaining half of Staal's $3.25 million salary. How do we, Leaf Nation, feel about this trade?
You know what? I think Montreal's getting a good guy. They're getting a winner. They're getting a guy that's a veteran. You know what? It's kind of like they're doing what the Leafs did. You know, instead of Thornton and Spezza, they're going to have Perry and Staal. So they want to have some veterans to help push their younger guys forward.
I agree with all of that, and I agree with having those veterans in place. But like Montreal has got the knack of going on losing streaks. Mm-hmm. Take a look at the records; they've got tons of consecutive games lost in the last 2 years. They're now acquiring a guy that's in the midst of the worst losing streak I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what kind of baggage that brings into the room, if any. Maybe he's just going to be the happiest guy in the world getting a new team to go play with that actually has games that mean something.
That's what I would think, man. He's going to come in there and be like, guys, we can't let this slip away. Like, they are in a playoff spot. They're in a great position. And I think this trade has to do with so many things, right? Like, they had 4 games postponed because of COVID. Because of that, they've only played 31 games. The Leafs have played 34. Everyone else has played 35 up to 37 games, man. Montreal's still in a playoff spot. So they have 5 games in hand to everyone who's chasing them. So not only do they have to wait the 7 days now for Staal, those are included in the days that they're closed down anyway because of COVID. It's such a savvy move for them to bring in a guy right now.
Listen, I have chirped Bird. I always say his name wrong too. I've chirped Bergevin for years, and this seems like a really good move. Like it's low risk, didn't give much up. They retained half the salary. You know, I think it's a great move. If I'm sitting here, I'd be a liar to say I didn't. I was hoping he came to the Leafs. Like looking across the lay of the land, that's the kind of guy I do like to see come at a trade deadline.
Yeah.
You know, I've brought up Owen Nolan and Ron Francis when the Leafs did it in the past. This is that. So good job, Montreal. You got a good one.
Yeah. So another trade that happened. This one, it feels like a whole other league, man. So on March 27th, the LA Kings got forward Brendan Lemieux from the Rangers for a 2021 4th round pick. He's 25, 2 goals, 7 points in 31 games. He was drafted 31st overall by Buffalo in 2014. I think it's a depth move by the Kings. They're just trying to make a little bit of a push to the playoffs. Like I think it's a good move.
I don't think it could be bad. And does he have a relation to Claude? I want to say that he's his son.
I think so too, yeah.
So if you can get anything that comes from that bloodline for important games, if he has anything that his dad had in that tank, it's huge. I don't know much about this boy. I don't. I can't lie to you. Know lots about his dad. No, he was amazing, and sometimes that gets brushed off. So at least let's hope that maybe that character got put there. Got a soft spot for the LA Kings. Who am I kidding? I just got a soft spot for Drew Doughty.
Yeah, fair enough, right? And like, the Kings are always an interesting team to watch just because of Drew Doughty and Jonathan Quick. Man, like they might have one last run in them, but yeah, who knows? We were talking about
they're our farm club for goaltending, Wes. Don't forget that.
You're absolutely right. So we were talking about the Sabres a little bit.
Yeah.
They are on a 17-game winless streak now. Crazy, eh? And they're going to get worse by trading Staal away.
And there's others on the block. Like, I mean, like you see posts on there, then it has 4 faces on there, you know, and it now over top of Staal, it says rescued, you know, it's like, oh man. And like, really, does this team, and I mean, they're professionals. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be classless by asking this, but when you're losing 17 games in a row, I need to ask this. Do they want to win any more games?
Oh man, I just think they need to. Like they need to win. They have to win, right? Like there's guys on the Buffalo Sabres that are playing to get traded. They have to show that they're worth it, right? Like, you know, Taylor Hall, some of the trade offers I've been hearing, like he's not even going to get a first round pick, and like he doesn't deserve to get a first round pick. Like who in Buffalo is going to bring back something that's worth anything really good for them?
I want nothing to do with Hall.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, I agree. It's just crazy. Like, man, if we had single game betting in Ontario, I'd be betting $2-3 on Buffalo here on out because they have to win, and it's going to be a huge payout, man. Like they're a professional team. By fluke, they're going to win a game somewhere.
They have to. They have to. You can't lose out. So no,
Yeah,
I'm with you. But you're at 17 games. I'm not going to kick a team while it's down. I'm not
no.
going to do it. That's not my style.
I
I'm not
think
going to do it.
we're just going to keep track of this because it's like a burning building, man. You can't keep your eyes off of it until it's done.
I'm watching the scoreboard. I can't lie. It's very intriguing. Because I'm just going, wow. Like, come on. Like, I'm rooting for you guys to break this streak, but I'm following it.
Yep.
Like from Leaf Nation, I'll speak from my end. I hope you pull off a win soon, Buffalo, because
Cool.
It'll feel like friggin' amazing. Like I'll cheer for you on that one.
Yeah, you and me both, man. How about we move into Tim's thoughts, man? He was on the show the last episode. I thought he's a really good guy, man. It was kind of like my first or second time meeting him. What's he got for us this time?
All right. So Tim's thoughts. I think Dubas is going big game or big fish hunting. If you've noticed the daily transactions and guys going on waivers, they're trying to maximize how much they can spend at the deadline. I still hope they don't give up top capital to acquire someone, but I have this feeling whoever they acquire will impact the team in a way the past deadline acquisitions have not.
Well, I think they're by big fish hunting. I really hope Tim's referring to a guy that can kill penalties because that's what the Leafs need more than anything. I think.
I want a Michael Pekka,
Yeah.
you know, like that kind of guy. That's a penalty killing specialist. That's what he does.
Yep.
He's not playing anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yep. Yeah. I just like, man, we need a grinder. We almost need a guy who's not a veteran, but like middle of his career, like mid to late 20s, a guy who just knows his role as a third line, maybe push his second line, kill penalties, just consistently make the right play type of guy.
I'm with you 100% because I honestly think that we've got a lot of depth in regards to our top six. I know that they haven't been scoring a lot lately, but hello, last night was wicked. And I really, really love how they've brought in a few other pieces. I don't know if we're going to see massive big game fish hunting. And I say other pieces. And what I mean by that is like calling up Lilligren, calling up Robertson, you know, working Galchenyuk into the lineup slowly. Like these to me are huge additions to this team. And I loved seeing how we'll get into Galchenyuk and how he's just meshing with that line right now because he is. But we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll stick with Tim's thoughts. I know. I don't see any big trades. I don't. I think Dubas wants to, and this year is a chips all in. But the chips have to make sense. And right now it's a very weird situation because you're trading with teams, okay, sure, to compete for this year, but next year everything's back to the way it was. The divisions are the way it was. So you don't realign everything based on just this year. Like there's a bigger formula. And I'm not smart enough to know it. I'm not going to pretend I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I think they're just going to do some trimming around the edges. Like there's no big fish out there, right? Like in theory, the big fish is Taylor Hall. And we just both said we don't want him on the team. Like that's not what the Leafs need. They don't need another guy like that, and they don't need they don't need a struggling guy.
He would have fit great in with the team that didn't salute the crowd. The Toronto team that did not salute the crowd. That is what I see in Taylor Hall. I don't want it on the team. That's the kind of chemistry I think he brings. I know nothing really about him, but what I do know is his track record sucks.
Well, man, like we'll see, man, and we'll hear from Tim next time. And I want him on the show again, and we should talk trades with him. And it'd be interesting to see who he thinks the Leafs could bring in, because big game hunting is one thing, but like I wanted to hear some names of who he thinks are going to come in.
Well, I'll tell you what, Wes, people that are listening, I promise you this. I'm going to get on the horn with Tim over the next few days, and we'll have it ready for the next show. We'll get some of these thoughts from him, and we want him to be on this show a little bit more because he's a key part to the show. So that's wicked. And sorry, can I just point something out here? I finally put something up on my wall.
Finally. We're just halfway through the season, finally.
Well, whatever, man. It doesn't ever get old. Look at all the cups that the Leafs have won. Too bad it's all in black and white television. Some are not on television at all. But whatever.
That's true. Well, speaking of the Leafs, let's get into the games, man. The game that was on during our last show, the 3-2 overtime win over the Senators. Man, the Sens just know how to play the Leafs, eh? Like, it's just crazy. That was their fourth goalie that they played against the Leafs this year, and you would have thought it was a Vezina winner going in there.
The amount of times that we've said we have run into a hot goalie. We're getting goaltended tonight.
Yeah.
It's happening so much. And I mean, it's so easy to change the narrative to saying that we have run into a problem with scoring. But I can't say that, man. The chances are huge. It's not like we're not getting the chances. It's not like it's just shots from the outside. Like we're hitting iron.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting robbed with great glove saves, and end of the stick saves. Like it's just happening. I think the Leafs are playing great.
Yep.
I love it. But you're bang on. Ottawa really gives them hiccups. I saw a stat. Actually, it was Nick Alberga on the Leafs Nation post game that said it, and I'm just repeating him because I thought it was a great stat. But Ottawa has played Winnipeg, Toronto, and Montreal to a record of 11, 7, and 2.
Wow.
To the rest of the division, they've played to a tune of 1, 12, and 1.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Like this team has it in that room to play. They just haven't got it together full time. Like Ottawa, they're a tough team to play against. They really show up against the Leafs.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because like you would think the Leafs should just be able to run over them, right? We have the first place team versus the last place team, and they just give the Leafs fits, man. Like what is it here? So the record the Leafs have over Ottawa, I think it's a winning record. They're 4-2-1, but man, it feels a lot tighter than that.
Oh, big time. Listen, when you're the first place team playing against the last place team, I'm going to start off by saying I'm not losing focus. We got 2 points. And that's the main thing, and we won, and we played a good game. But I also can entertain the talk of we need to be wiping the floor with this kind of a team, at least once in a while. And it's been a long time since we've seen the Leafs really win a 7-1 game, and they have what it takes to do it. And Wes and anybody else that's listening here, I'm okay if it. Like I honestly think it'll happen, and this team has all of that firepower to pull it off. And we're going to see those drubbings, and even if we don't, so what? Just keep winning. But I want to see that power, and I think we will. I do. I think it's coming, man.
Before we move on to the Oilers game, I want to ask you about what you think of Matthews' intercept of the pass to prevent the 3-on-1, man. That takes some stones, man. If he whiffed on that, it would have been a 3-on-0.
That's exactly it. Like Jack Campbell would have had a 3-on-0 to close out that game. No, man. That, to me, you could take it as it was a risky play. It was this or that. I want a player that believes in himself that much. And not just that. I want a player that believes in himself that much and has that talent level. That guy could play any sport. He's athletic. It's shown. And I think it was Jack Campbell that said it. He's like, he can play any position in any sport if he really wanted to. He played a soccer keeper save there. It was wicked. I thought it was sweet. And then to see him come up and make the move that he did, like that was a sweet way to finish out a game. I really wish that it went in for him. I don't really care. He didn't seem to care.
No.
The celebrations were like, that's what I'm talking about. You see them go at each other so hard. Like,
yeah, it was great, man. When Justin Hall scored that, like, you feel so good for the guy because like he's pumped to score. That was his second goal of the year, and it goes to show how far he's come because he was on the bench for pretty much a year under Babcock, and now he's playing the lone defenseman position in overtime in a shortened season. Like it's fantastic how well Justin Hall's doing.
I love it. It is a really cool story to watch, and it kind of makes so that Leaf Nation pay attention to that. Because the Toronto Maple Leafs had patience.
Yeah.
And now you've got one of your best defensemen. But if we listen to Leaf Nation, why is he here? Why are we re-signing him? Why? Trade this, trade that. Guess what? Little patience is okay. You're able to ride a wave. You can have bad times in your career too and come through it. Justin Hall, Jack Campbell, these guys, they're classic examples of just keep putting in the work, support your damn team.
Speaking of patience, man, so let's move on to the Oilers game. Halfway through the third period, I'm not going to lie, man, I was like pulling out what little hair I have because the Leafs were just like getting robbed, and they were playing so much better than the Oilers, but they were down 3-1, and man, what a comeback by them. That was awesome to watch. In the last like 10 minutes of the game, they were able to tie it up, and it was so nice to see that they have it in them to do that.
Oh, I love it, and like, I don't know, like the plays by Draisaitl and by McDavid, those two passes, McDavid to Draisaitl and then Draisaitl to, I can't think right now who scored that goal that he made that nifty little behind the back pass. But do you want to know what else? I didn't notice it really in the live time. Maybe it's because I celebrate too hard when the Leafs score. and then I miss things. But I saw it this morning when I was showing my girls. I've got two little girls that I've told you guys before, 7 and 9, big Leaf fans. I brainwashed them well. But I was showing the goal, and Galchenyuk. Did you see his pass to Tavares?
Yep, I think he is doing really well on that line. I think he is developing some chemistry, and Galchenyuk to me, I think like he knows this is his last kick at the can, right? Like he is playing for his career, and if he doesn't perform, he's not coming back to the show next year.
No. And I think he's making the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, it has to work like in order to have a good recipe, it has to work top to bottom, right? I can't bake a cake without the yeast. I maybe got that wrong, but whatever. But Galchenyuk and the Leafs worked together. He went down to the Marlies to learn the system, and they worked him in properly, and then introduced him into the lineup and worked him through the line to kind of feel what was a good chemistry. And I feel like Coach Keefe really nailed it. I've been wanting to see Tavares. I'm not down on his season. I'm not. I've just hoped to see him put the puck in a little bit, and that pass gave that chance for him to do it. And without a doubt, the captain put it in.
Yep.
And then to see Nylander to put it into, like, I don't know, man. It's really fun to see a player come in and be like our Brian Boyle, or our, like I'm not expecting huge things from him, but chemistry means everything. And I think Galchenyuk brings it, Campbell brings it, and I think the next one to maybe get a shot is going to be our Robertson, but that's another talk. Sorry.
Yeah, man, you talk about that Nylander goal. That's why I love him, man. When he scores, he looks so happy to score, man. Like he is just enjoying it, and that's a guy that he misses the crowd. Like if that building was packed last night and they tied that game up when they did, it would have erupted and it would have been amazing. And like Nylander would just eat it all up. And like I think he's a guy that the pressure doesn't get to him, and it bugs Leaf fans so much that it's like, oh, he doesn't try, or like we perceive that. But man, he is great, and I've said it before, he is the best value contract on the Maple Leafs this year.
Yeah, maybe right there with Jason Spezza.
I guess so.
Sorry, that's not even fair. It's not even fair. Like Spezza's contract is so unfair that you can't compare it to anything else because there's too much hometown things. There's too much. He took a discount, did this, did that. He wanted to be here. That wasn't a business move. That was I'm going to go win a cup move. Yeah, no. Nylander's his contract's great. I'm not going to be one to bash it. Anybody that wants to, you go ahead and find me another player getting paid $7 million or 6.75 or whatever we're at, and show me numbers that are comparable. If you can do that, I'll chat with you about it.
Probably
because
Pasternak.
Otherwise, go for it. Go for it. Like maybe Pasternak. So like for us to sit here and go, what do you can't get Pasternak.
No.
So we got Nylander.
It's true. What would you think of the overtime goal, man? That was vintage Matthews, eh?
Vintage.
Yeah.
No, that he was overdue. Like not overdue. That bounce, I'm very happy it happened for him because he needed it. He needed a puck off the ass somewhere, So off a blade and a stick, that's what had to happen. No, not. It's probably the ugliest goal that Austin Matthews has scored in his career, but nonetheless, it's a game winner. And I really think that those are the kind of things that are catapulting him because it's not like he's not getting the chances.
No.
He's putting a lot of pucks on net. And I'll tell you, last night, I heard them say like and in play, like you're not setting up to do the hardest shot in the world, and you put a puck on net at 94 miles an hour. You're coming around, and not that I say coming around like he's played bad. It's just we're used to seeing him put up a ton of goals. And buddy, I'm cool with it. He's still playing great hockey. Kicking pucks out of the air, whatever the hell you want to do.
Well, that's it, man. Like he's a number one center. He's always going to get the best, best pairs playing against him, right? So the fact that he can score as often as he does it shows how amazing he is, and it's awesome to have a guy like that on the Leafs.
I also like to see that Sheldon Keefe. I've said it before. He learns lessons. He doesn't do the same thing over and over again because he thinks he knows best. He literally will change if he needs to. This was a completely different way to start the overtime period this time against Edmonton. I don't know if anybody recalls the first one. He started Tavares as center and Matthews on the bench, and Matthews didn't get on the ice because McDavid got to finish the game before that happened. He said, "Not this time, not this time," and Matthews started, and so he should. Given if I heard right, I think Tavares was perfect in the draw last night.
I think so too, man. The Leafs just seem to be able to own Edmonton in the face-off circle, man. The stat up there last night, they were, I think, over 60%. So that it's just crazy how we're talking about Ottawa, how they play so well against the Leafs. Edmonton crushes Ottawa. We're very good. The Leafs are very good against Edmonton, so we should be good against Ottawa, but we're not. It just is the weirdest thing, eh?
It is. It is. But sometimes your team just doesn't match up well against another team.
Mm-hmm.
Systems, man. It's just
Yeah,
systems. It's just like, why were the Leafs getting beat by Boston?
yeah,
At the time, the systems didn't work. Boston's system beat Toronto's. It just did.
yeah,
Um, and this year doesn't matter. So anybody that wants to comment anything about it, wait until it matters.
yeah. Well, how about we move on to this day in hockey history? And this is actually some Maple Leaf stuff. In 1990, Gary Leeman became the second player in Toronto Maple Leaf history to score 50 goals. So he joined Rick Vaive, who did it twice. Can you believe that in over 100 years, there's only two guys that have scored over 50 goals?
Wes, I think there's a reason why we call this show Blue Collar Hockey Talk.
Yeah.
We cheer for the team that's always been blue collar. We've never had a lineup that just is full of goal scorers. We haven't had Maurice Richards. We haven't had those guys. It's not what we've been. We've been the rough, don't want to meet you in the back alley kind of a team. And that's what Toronto Maple Leafs have always been. That's why it's been so hard for Leaf Nation, I think, to wrap their heads around what we have now, because it's not how we've always been built. But you know what? We hadn't won a cup in 50 years, so it's time to move on.
Yeah, that's true, man. I just think it's crazy that the Leafs have been around as long as they have, and they've only had two guys do this. And don't get me wrong, like last year, Matthews would have done it if it wasn't for the COVID shutdown. But still, man, it always seems to be something that just stops the Leafs from getting another 50-goal scorer, and it's just too bad, man. Like it's
that's a good point.
Weird
Actually.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I mean, yeah, no, that is pretty wild. No, I would never have got that. Like, if you asked me to tell you how many players, like I knew Matt Sundin never did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the best goal scorer for 15 years. So that wipes out pretty much an entire generation.
Yep. Yeah, it's just one of those weird stats where it's like, yeah, this team's been around 100 years and they've only had two guys do this. Like,
now we've had more since. We have, haven't we? Like,
no.
Wendell Clark never broke 50.
Never broke 50.
I thought he did once. No way. Damn.
No, we've only had two guys.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's pretty cool.
It's just so weird. But let's talk about the upcoming games. And so Monday, the 29th, the Leafs play the Oilers one more time. So their ninth and final meeting of the season. The Leafs are 6-1-1 against the Oilers. How do you think this is going to go?
I think that Edmonton's going to have the biggest pep talk in the world, saying that, guys, you need to be able to look yourselves in the mirror and say, why didn't we finish in first again? And they're going to come out guns blazing, man. Jack Campbell's going to have to be ready for a very motivated Edmonton team. That whole team is going to have to step up and play the best game of the year again.
Yep.
Like they did.
Well, I think it's, you bring up the fact, like, why didn't we get first? The Oilers now need help to beat first place. Like, they can't get there on their own. Even if they beat the Leafs, they're still going to be a point behind them.
And they don't have any more games to try to pick up points directly against them.
Nope.
Where the Leafs, we control our destiny for Toronto and Edmonton because we've dominated that. So I think this game is going to be hard coming up. I think that the Leafs are going to win, and we're going to see Connor McDavid look extremely distraught at the end of that game.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the next game. Wednesday, April 2nd, the Leafs are in Winnipeg. It's crazy to think we're going to wrap up the series against Edmonton. Winnipeg, we still have 6 games to go. So how do you think this one's going to go?
You're going to see a lot of Winnipeg and Montreal, eh?
Yeah, we have 12 games left between the two teams, man. So over half the season against two teams from here on out.
Yeah, and every other night until May.
Yep.
I think it's going to be awesome, but I won't lie to you. Winnipeg plays us hard.
Oh, yeah.
They're tough.
Yeah.
This second half of the season, I think that we'll own Montreal. I think that we'll have a tough time against Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Wednesday, April 2nd. I think that we'll win our game against Edmonton. Let's chat again before that Winnipeg game. But today, my gut says that if I were to be placing bets, I don't bet on the Leafs anyway. Yeah. I don't do that.
See, I think it's the opposite, man. I think the Oilers are just going to come out, and I think they're going to have a game on Monday, and I think the Leafs are going to step up and play well against Winnipeg because, man, that losing skid, it really became noticeable against Winnipeg, and they actually played Winnipeg really well in those games, and they just happened to lose 2 of them when a goalie stole those games away from them.
I know. Winnipeg's a solid team, man. Yeah. They just are. Paul Maurice knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless you have anything you want to add before we get going.
No, the only thing I'll say here, guys, is keep an eye out. We're going to try to start breaking up this show a little bit into segments and release out little clips. So, I mean, if you want to watch the whole show, friggin' awesome. But maybe you just want to check out a clip or two and see what we're about. Click on it, check it out. Thanks for listening. Wes, back to you.
All right. If you like what you're seeing, what you hear, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at BlueCollarHT. If you have anything to email us, feel free, bluecollarhockeytalk@gmail.com. Like we always say, go Leafs go.